everybody. Today I'm going to do a comparison video between the Ingersoll Rand 2235 and then the Nitrocat 1250K. Now these are two of the most powerful half-inch pneumatic impact wrenches on the market today, but they're both going to have advantages and disadvantages. What I'm going to do in this video is really go over those. We're going to look at them side by side to see how they really compare, and we're going to do torque testing with them. I'll be using a Skidmore-Wilhelm Model R, and I have a reverse threaded nut and bolt installed. So what we're going to be looking for is reverse working torque, and we'll be able to see firsthand who's the most powerful. When we look at both impacts side by side, you can see that they are almost exactly the same height, and other than a color scheme on them, the biggest difference is going to be the grip. The Ingersoll Rand has a very hard plastic grip, however it is going to be textured. The Nitrocat, on the other hand, is going to be a form-fitted grip with a rubber backing pad. As far as changing the power levels and the direction of the anvil, you do want to keep in mind that the Nitrocat has 3 settings in forward and 1 in reverse, where the Ingersoll Rand is going to have 4 settings in forward and reverse. So you can really fine-tune in the power levels with the Ingersoll Rand much easier than the Nitrocat, although they both are going to have those variable speed triggers. Now I do want to point out it is extremely easy to change your forward and reverse as well as the directional change, because with the Nitrocat this one lever is going to do everything for you. With Ingersoll Rand it's actually a 2-step process. To change the direction they have the button underneath. You're going to press left or right to change directions. And then to change the power levels you'll take this dial right here and move it left to right. All the way to the left is going to be on low, all the way on the right is going to be max power. As far as an overall length goes, when we compare the Nitrocat to the extended anvil version 2235, it would be shorter. However, when we look at the normal 2235 without that 2-inch extended anvil, the overall housing size of the 2235 would be identical, but then the anvil is only going to stick out of here roughly about 1 inch. So when you compare the normal version to the Nitrocat normal version, the Ingersoll Rand would be a shorter impact. Unlike the open post trigger design on some impacts, the Nitrocat as well as the Ingersoll Rand share a very similar trigger. Now both of these are made out of red plastic. They're going to slide into the grip when you activate them, and that's going to prevent you from accidentally getting something caught behind the trigger, preventing the impact's use. Now the good thing is that both of these do have a variable speed trigger, so if you don't want to apply full power, all you need to do is not press in on it all the way. What we'll do next is go ahead and try each one. You can see what the trigger control is, and you can see how well that variable speed is actually going to work. The first one we're going to try is going to be the Nitrocat. Now I do have this in reverse. We're going to see how well that variable speed trigger actually works. Now let's try that same test with the Ingersoll Rand. This is also going to be in reverse on max power. Now for a torque test, I'll be using a Skidmore-Wilhelm Model R with a 1 1/4 inch bolt and a 2-inch nut. With this combination we can accurately measure bolt tension in pounds up to 110,000. You'll take whatever the number is, divide it by 70, and that's going to give you a torque rating. Now I want to point out with the Skidmore-Wilhelm I do have a reverse threaded nut and bolt in here, so all of these numbers are going to be in full reverse, and this is going to give us a very accurate representation as to the working torque. I'll be doing 3 different runs on each impact, alternating impacts between each run. And we'll be doing a 15-second run time at 90 psi of working pressure. The air compressor I'm using is going to be an Ingersoll Rand 80-gallon air compressor, and then I have 1/2-inch air lines along with 3 1/8-inch air fittings. Now I also want to point out between each run I will be changing out the lubrication on the back of the nut, on the washer face, as well as the threads with a fresh coating of R-0050 test bolt lube from Skidmore-Wilhelm. This is specifically designed to work along with this unit, and it will give us very accurate results. Now lastly, I will be using a brand new impact socket for this test, which is going to be a Sunex Model 264. It's a 2-inch, half-inch drive impact socket. And I want to thank Sunex for sending this over so we can get very accurate results. Well, we just got done with all the torque testing and the numbers were very consistent with each impact. The Ingersoll ran ranged from 83,000 to 84,000 pounds of bolt tension with an average of 83,500. Divide that by a factor of 70 because of the nut and bolt combination we're using. It means that it has a working torque rating of 1,193 foot-pounds. The Nitrocat ranged between 83,000 and 86,500 pounds of bolt tension with an average of 84,500. Divide that by a factor of 70 and it comes in with a working torque rating on it of 1,207 foot-pounds. So now you've seen a side-by-side comparison between the Nitrocat 1250K and the Ingersoll ran 2235. Now I want to point out, like I showed you, they both have advantages and disadvantages, but most of that is really going to boil down to a personal preference. As far as picking them up and holding on to them, the main thing that you're going to notice as far as the difference between them is going to be the grips. The Nitrocat has that form-fitted grip with the rubber backing pad. The Ingersoll ran has a very hard grip. And although it is textured, there's no rubber behind it, and it really is harder to hold on to. But what you want to keep in mind, that could be a good or a bad thing. If you spill shop chemicals on the 2235, you can most likely just wipe them off with no damage. And depending on what those chemicals are, if you spilt the same ones on the Nitrocat, it could cause that rubber backing pad to swell into form. Now, in my opinion, there is one main advantage that each has over the other one, with the Ingersoll ran having that extended anvil. So if we look at the Nitrocat and we add on a 2-inch extension, we would experience torque loss dropping the power levels by roughly 10%. If you do a lot of tire work, sometimes that extended anvil makes all the difference, and in that case, this would be the most powerful. The main advantage of the Nitrocat, in my opinion, is going to be the noise levels. This is much quieter than the Ingersoll ran. And even though they do make a quiet version of the 2235, if you get that one, then the power levels drop even more. Now, as far as the most powerful between the two of these, with our reverse working torque test, the Nitrocat was the winner. So just keep in mind that was not in forward torque, it wasn't breakaway or max torque, it was reverse working torque, which in my opinion is the most important number out there. Now, as far as warranties go, they're both covered by a 2-year warranty. So if you ever do have a problem with them, and it's not an abuse situation, they will fix or replace these for you free of charge. If you like this video, please click like. If you like my channel, please click subscribe. And thanks for watching.